Welcome to another chapter of the Tao Te Ching. Here we are looking at chapter 76. Life is flexible. If you want to align with life, if you want to align with living, if you want to align with all the things that are, all the things that engage with life, all the beauty of life, and what have you, you will align with flexibility. The title of this, Life is Flexible. Life, not that, life is is a verb. We have life, it's a noun, I guess, life. So it itself isn't the thing that's flexible, but life, like aligning with life, and it has the trait of flexibility. In order for us to really engage and love our lives, we have to be flexible. If we're not, rigidity is going to steer us closer to death, right? Staying in one place, right? Someone that was born in the 50s, if they had the same mental sort of capacity of an adult in the 50s, or someone who was brought up with, so someone's 70 years old, and many 70-year-old people have old ideas about the world, and they want to, fight to keep those old ideas alive. Well, fighting to keep old ideas alive is aligning with death, because that's aligning with rigidity, right? You're not flexible. You're not allowing yourself new influence. You're not allowing yourself any flexibility. So let's get into this and talk about the difference between flexibility, rigidity, life, and death, and how those align. It is true for all things that while aligned with life, there is yielding, flexibility, and grace. It is also the case that aligned with death, all things are stiff, brittle, and inflexible. In all things, we can witness plainly rigidity of any kind is a companion of death. Softness of any kind is a companion of life. Be soft and yielding. It overcomes rigidity. What we're looking at here is really just a simple thing of like, stay flexible. It's really something that you can just take with you every day, right? If this was your mantra, stay flexible in every aspect, right? Stay flexible with raising your kids, stay flexible with your job, stay flexible with possibility, stay flexible with your thoughts, stay flexible. Even if you find yourself judging someone, you can see that as rigid, and you can be like, okay, I don't like that they do that, but I'm going to try and be as flexible as I can with my judgments, with my assumptions, with all of these things. I'm going to try and be flexible, because you're not going to be able to be flexible if you have been living your life thus far to be rigid. And rigidity is holding a single idea, right? If you hold a single idea, like I can only whatever that is, and this is the only solution, or this is the only way, and you find yourself really compartmentalizing your life and being forced, right? If we look at these linearly, if we look at these numerically, we just finished 75, which talked about there needs to be a purpose. Your life has to be purposeful. That flexibility is part of that, right? Like, you need to be able to be flexible and allow yourself not to just hone in on a single thing. I am. Anybody that wants to say I am and then stick to some identity, I am, or my life is, or my personality is, or this is who I am. I'm an introvert and I need, it's like, well, you're shutting yourself off. Like, as soon as you say I am and fill that with anything other than a period, you are aligning with rigidity. So you're aligning with death. And that is going to perpetuate itself. It's going to just continue going into a cycle of, well, if this is who you are, this is how it is. If this is who you are, this is the thing you have to align to, right? This is easy now for people to corral you, as we have spoken in the last verse. Pardon me, I'm going to turn this down if I can. So life is flexible, and when you can align with softness, align with flexibility, you will outlast rigidity. You will outlast all of those people and thoughts that are wanting you to align with something specific. Right? There was a time in my life that I was like, I'm an artist, and I aligned with that, and then I realized, this isn't really the only thing, and I don't want to continue saying this. And then I was like, I'm a healer, and then I was like, I don't want to keep aligning with that either, because those are rigid, and all of that is rigid. It's like it's an identity, and it's like I don't want that identity. I don't like, sure, those are good identities, artist, healer, like, but they're still rigid identities that I then have to continue to perpetuate, and I can continue have to close off the biggest me that there is for these little tiny, breadcrumbs of identity. And so that's something that we're going to want to think about. Like, as we're coming to the end here, we're making these kind of bigger statements that allow us to kind of take more liberally, be able to take it and be like, oh, wait, like, it's true for all things that while aligned with life, there is yielding, flexibility, and grace. Those are the things that we want to yield. We want to allow people to be who they are. Flexibility, we want to allow things to change as they do. And grace, we want to just be able to recognize that those things are possible and welcome them as they present themselves. It is also the case that aligned with death, all things are stiff. You don't want people to be who they are. You want people to be who you are. You want people to be who you think they should be. Brittle. Oh, my feelings are so hurt because you have done some fucking bullshit that I didn't want you to do, or I'm so hurt because the world is a certain way that I can't stand because I'm once again aligned with this small compartmentalized idea of the world. And inflexible, just meaning that I'm not going to change my idea, even if you give me good reason to. Doesn't matter. I'm going to continue to believe the way I believe because I'm aligned with death. I'm not aligned with anything new. I'm not aligned with anything young or flexible. I'm going to just be who I am, and it's right to be me, and I have a right. You do have a right. You have a right to conflict. You have a right to be upset. You have a right to do all those things. But I always ask people, well, what's better for you? Engaging and receiving and leaning into that right to be upset, leaning into the right to be brittle, and the right to be hurt, and the right to be whatever stupid identity you decide to be this week? Or, I mean, if that's what's important, lean into it, go right ahead. But your life is so much more than that, and it's not your identity. Your life isn't your identity. Your life isn't what you claim to be, or the pain that you have. It is you, and you are God, or you are Tao, or you are connected to all things in a beautiful way, and that's more than any of the rights that you think you have. Yeah, you have the right to be upset, but do you want to lean into that right? Or do you want to let that right? Do you want to just let that right go? Yeah, you have the right to be upset, but do you have the energy to be upset? Do you have the time to be upset? Do you have the it's not going to get you anywhere. We lose track of how much conflict changes relationships and changes who we are. It's an addictive thing to have an identity. It's addictive to do those things. And when we engage in those things, we solidify and cement those addictions. And so flexibility is really one of the best things that we can bring to our lives. Just being like, okay, these are new ideas. The moment that I see I am closed off to these ideas, I can be like, okay, I'm closed off to those ideas. Let's see if I can open up. I don't have to do anything special. I just have to not judge it. It's like if I don't like young people music, I don't have to listen to young people music. I can just recognize that they like it, and that's okay. And I don't have to judge it. I can just be like, they do what they do, and I do what I do. If I'm intrigued and want to engage it, I can, but I don't have to in order to be flexible to other people doing it. Right? So there's all of this work, all these places we can add flexibility to our lives. And like I said in the beginning of this, if you bring flexibility into your life and try and bring it into every aspect of your life, you'll find that you won't age as fast. You'll find that you won't deteriorate. You won't be as tired. You'll be more open, and flexibility into what is actually happening too. Like, instead of sitting here wanting and desiring things to be different, you can be flexible and say, oh, this is how it is, and it's good this way too. All right. Thank you so much for joining me for another chapter of the Tao Te Ching. I'm Martin John, and until next time, keep recovering yourself.